Hey guys, this is Miss Arlequin, and in this lesson we're going to be planning and organizing our Unit 3 performance-based tasks. So our learning target is to plan out the organization and the evidence for our argumentative essays. In order to achieve this learning target, we have some criteria for success. First, we're going to have to be able to synthesize our learning from the previous lessons, and we're going to do that by brainstorming ideas for the essay. You also have to be able to write a claim based on the performance-based task prompt. You have to be able to determine which reasons would be the strongest for supporting your claim. You have to be able to find evidence to support your claim and your reasons. And we also are going to have to be able to organize our information using a chart or a map. All right, so let's review our performance-based task for Unit 3. For this task, we're going to be making an argument for the value of preserving one of the world wonders. Support your claim with clear reasons and relevant evidence. So the first thing you're going to have to do is choose which world wonder you're going to want to write about. The next thing you have to do once you've made your choice is to think about everything we've read about this monument, everything we've learned, inferences that we've made. Why do we need to preserve the monument? Why should we preserve it? So I would like everybody right now to make a circle map for their monument. In your circle map, you are brainstorming as many different reasons as you can think of for why your monument deserves to be preserved. And that's what you're going to put in the center circle. You're going to put the name of your monument. And in the outer circle, it's going to be all of your brainstormed reasons. All right, so pause the video and take a few moments to do your brainstorming. Now, when you look at your circle map, you might have some responses that are similar in some way to the ones that I've written, although they shouldn't be exactly the same, because when I reveal my responses are going to be very general. So in general, what are some reasons why we might preserve a monument or a world wonder? Well, we might preserve it because there's some kind of historical importance to it. We might also preserve something if it has environmental importance. We might preserve something if there's financial importance, like it's a tourist attraction. We might preserve something if it's symbolic or if it has cultural importance. All right, so now we're going to get a little bit more specific with our essay, and this is where we're going to use our planning chart. So the very first thing we're going to do after we fill out our heading is we're going to write down what the topic. So what wonder are we writing about? And then what we need to do is come up with a thesis statement. All right, so I'm going to model it for you. Let's say my chosen topic is the Eiffel Tower. And my opinion is that the Eiffel Tower should be preserved. So I went online, I did some research, and I discovered that the Eiffel Tower is degrading due to pollution from some nearby factories. So my opinion is that in order to preserve the Eiffel Tower, the factories need to be closed down. How can I combine these ideas into a strong thesis? So once again, my claim is that factories near the Eiffel Tower should be closed. And my evidence is what I read online in my online articles about the factories creating pollution and how that pollution is contributing to the corrosion of the tower. So again, I need to combine this claim and some of this evidence. Not everything specific, because again, a thesis should not have specific evidence in it. My specific evidence is going to go in my body paragraph. So one way I might combine these is I might come up with factories near the Eiffel Tower should be closed to protect it from corrosion. Now this is a very good thesis. It has persuasive language. It has obviously an argument or an opinion. It should be closed. I say why it should be closed, but I'm not going into very specific details. And I say what? Factories near the Eiffel Tower. Now this is not the only way to write this thesis statement. As we've seen in previous topics where we've all written the same thing, people can write a thesis about the same topic in many different ways. There's ways to rephrase it. There's other ways to say it. So what are some other ways we could get our point across for my particular essay on the Eiffel Tower? How else can I structure my thesis? Well, I could say something like, to stop the pollution damaging the Eiffel Tower, we need to shut down the factories. Or another appropriate thesis would be, the Great Eiffel Tower is deteriorating and we should take action now. This one is a little less specific. I don't really mention in my thesis statement what my plan is for shutting down the factories. This would be a good thesis statement if I have more than one solution that I want to write about. If I only want to discuss shutting down the factories, then I can make my thesis more specific. But if I have a couple of other ideas, then a more general thesis statement would be more appropriate. All right, so what you should do is write your thesis statement. You can structure it however you want, but you may also use the thesis statement sentence frames that are on the screen. All right, so once you have your thesis statement, the next part of your planning chart is to come up with your reasons. Now, just like with our previous unit planning charts, your reasons are basically like your topic sentences for your body paragraphs. That's what each of the paragraphs are going to be about. So since we have 3 reasons, it means we're going to have 3 body paragraphs. And then underneath each reason, we're going to find the evidence to support that reason that's going to support that topic sentence. So for my model, I'm writing about the Eiffel Tower and how we need to shut down the factories, protect it from corrosion. So what is my first reason for why we should preserve the Eiffel Tower? Well, my first reason is I'm going to prove that the Eiffel Tower even is worthy of being protected. So I'm going to explain why the Eiffel Tower is special, what makes it worthy of being preserved, why we shouldn't just say, who cares? My second reason is going to be what's threatening the Eiffel Tower. There's no reason to preserve something if it's not under threat. So I'm going to prove that it is being threatened, that there are problems that it's facing. And then I'm going to make my argument in my final paragraph, my solution. This is what I believe needs to be done in order to preserve it. So as you can see, I've used evidence. At least my first pieces of evidence are coming from the Cody Crane article. No matter what monument we're writing about, we have to make sure that we have at least one piece of evidence that comes from one of the Codex articles, either the Cody Crane article or if we're writing about the Taj Mahal, from the Jeffrey Bartholet article. Additional evidence can then come from sources that you read online. Now, the way I've organized my reasons is just one way that I could organize this essay. I don't have to have a body paragraph where I talk about the threats, or necessarily a body paragraph where I talk about the solution. So another way that I could organize this is, instead of talking about what's special, I could start off by first talking about the history of the Eiffel Tower. And this is kind of similar to what I was going to talk about in the first version of the essay. Why is the tower special? Well, the history is part of what makes it special. But I'm only going to focus on history, whereas in this first essay, I could actually talk about other reasons the Eiffel Tower is special. This is very general. History could be one of the reasons, one piece of evidence, but then another piece of evidence could be about the financial importance, how it's a tourist attraction. So here I wouldn't be able to talk about tourist attraction. I would just be talking about the historical significance. Here, I'm going to argue about how the tower is important to France. Now here I could probably talk about the tourist attraction and the financial significance. And then in my last paragraph, I'm going to talk about the threats and the solutions together. Now I might combine these two ideas into one paragraph if for my particular monument, it's not really that much information. If I have a lot of threats to write about or a lot of different solutions that I want to argue for and try to persuade my audience about, it might make more sense to break this into 2 separate paragraphs. So again, these are the types of things that a writer has to think about. You have to think about what's going to work best, which structure, what type of organization is going to work best for your specific topic. Not every topic is the same. You know, some of the monuments maybe don't have that much history, so it wouldn't make sense for you to have that kind of a paragraph. All right, so now it's time for you to work on your planning chart. Please use my model as an example for your own planning chart. Make sure that in your evidence column, you are putting direct quotes. You can have a combination of indirect and direct quotes, but really, you want to start to pull out at least the phrases, if not whole sentences, that you are going to be quoting in your essay. Because remember, we use our planning chart directly as we're drafting.